So Dwight, let's start with the basics. Tell us your full name and where you were born.
Dwight Edward Yingling. I was named that because I was born in 1960, and of course Eisenhower was president then.
Wonderful. Okay.
That's what my mother told me anyhow,
Okay.
so I believe it.
Great. And who were your parents?
Earl and Mary Yingling.
Very good.
And they lived right here. My dad was raised right in Ingomar, and my mother over in Hampton.
Very good.
So it was local.
Okay, great. And so you grew up in the town, and
Yeah.
so you grew up in McCandless. Love to know what some of your recollections of just being a kid growing up in McCandless. What was that like?
It was like we were on the edge of the country back then, because Wexford was there were cornfields just past the McDonald's.
Okay.
So, and I remember the big barn. There were a couple big barns up there. So, and then when you got out of Wexford, it was really country, going all the way up to Zillionople, because Cranberry just had a red light, and that was called Crider's Corner back then.
Very good.
And that was when I was a kid, and of course it built up pretty quick after that. 228 was just a two-lane road, so that was just a two-lane country road. But around here, Ingomar Road, McKnight Road was built before my time, and that was like the new throughway out to the North Hills.
Okay.
Before that, it was Route 19, and that Route 19 was the main road, and of course, it's called Perry Highway or Route 19.
Okay.
Ingomar was always just a quaint little town, a couple gas stations, post office, meat market maybe, which isn't there anymore, but just a few, the shoe repair, he's still there.
Oh, okay.
Just a few businesses. And McCandless was mainly just turned into housing, from the farms to housing. There wasn't too much commercial, McCandless Crossing, nothing was there. Nothing really commercial until you got down into Ross Township.
Okay.
Because that would have been Northway Mall was your first, plaza heading down McKnight Road.
Yeah. Historic itself, because it was like one of the first, I think, one of those concepts.
So heading north, Wexford didn't have that much. They put in a car dealership probably in the 60s, and then from there it took off then, into the 70s and 80s and started to build up. But and now of course it's crazy busy,
Yeah. So what did a kid do in those days? What type of stuff did you
do? We weren't home that much.
Yeah.
I mean, we worked during the day and ran around with our friends at night. I mean, it wasn't like we sat around. There weren't computers then, so sometimes you got into trouble, but if you did, you knew everybody. The police knew your parents, and they made sure you got home safe. And that was the fun part of back in those days, because everybody knew everybody.
Yeah.
Especially around here.
Okay. Yeah. Have any vivid memories of something like that, or?
Yeah, going too fast up Ingomar Road, maybe.
Okay, so what age
Police
are you? What age are you?
Actually, I was probably 14, and my brother was driving. He was 16.
Okay.
And so, back then they put big V8 engines in those cars, and so you could really go.
Yeah, sure.
Like dummies we went a little bit too fast, but we didn't crash, so we made it.
Yeah.
And,
So what schools did you go to?
North Allegheny. I was probably the third year up at the high school after they built it. But prior to that, I mean, oh my gosh, I must have went to 9 different schools. I don't know why. I grew up right up on Old Coomer Road, which is right up the hill from here.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, well, I went to St. Alexis for the first 2 years. And then after that, McKnight Elementary, and I'm going to say Hosack. I was probably the first year when Hosack first opened, and I was only there for 1 year, and then up to Carson, and then back down to then out to Ingomar for some reason.
Oh, wow.
All the way out to Ingomar.
Wow.
And I don't know why they shipped us that far, but and then up to Carson, and then down to the intermediate high school in 9th and 10th, and then in just 9th grade. 10th grade, I went to Vincentian. My mother thought that would straighten me out a little bit, but I'm not wondering. I don't know. It was just, and Vincentian is the school down. It's off of McKnight Road, where Peebles is. So
yeah,
it was kind of just a good old Catholic school, but they didn't straighten me out. St. Alexis didn't straighten me out in first and second. So what were they thinking in 10th grade? So back down to the high school or back up to the high school in 11th and 12th grade. And then actually during 11th and 12th grade, I split my day and did the other half at Beatty Tech. So Beatty Tech was a nice, and they really should utilize that more because we need more kids to go to technical school.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess college might be great, but you need technical schooling, and there's a lot there. They offer a lot.
Yeah.
I went for commercial art, which I didn't really pursue that. I think the reason why I didn't pursue it is because after that, then I went to Ivy School of Professional Art down in Northside, which would be after high school. And I was only there for about a year and a half, and the school went belly up. So when the school went belly up, I thought, maybe this isn't a great thing to go into, commercial art.
Yeah.
So, and I think right about that time, things were getting computerized. So they were going from handmade art to computer generated art.
Oh, okay.
So that just changed everything.
Yeah.
So if you were late at the game, you weren't really worth anything, because handmade art isn't where the money was. The money was in the computer made art. So that got me out of that. And
what year did you graduate high school?
79.
79.
Okay. And then I started working for my dad and took over a part of his business, which was the towing end of it. And then eventually I bought out the other part of the business, which is the bait and tackle bicycle rental, right down on Ingomar and Coomer Road in North Park.
Very good. And let's talk about that a little bit. So what was, you told me earlier that your father started that in 48?
Yeah, he had a couple jobs when he was young, and one of them was to deliver ice cream, he worked for Taylor's. Taylor's was a big dairy they were located down in Ambridge, and they delivered milk and ice cream. Well, actually they delivered milk mostly,
okay.
But there was an ice cream stand right at the corner, and that was Taylor's first ice cream stand, and that's what got them into the ice cream business from the milk business. And so my dad started delivering ice cream down there, and the guy that Ayler, Stanford Ayler, Stanley and Stanford Ayler owned all the property that the bike shop and the bait and tackle shop were on, and everything else, the golf course and the driving range and everything.
Good.
And they, Stanford really liked my dad and said, "Come work for me." And my dad said, "Why should I? I got a job." And then finally he talked my dad into it and said, "Look, you can run it yourself. It'll be your business." So that's what he did. And they set up a rental agreement, and that was it. My dad took over, and that was in 1948. So he was about 18 years old at the time, and he ran that business until he was 62 or 63, right about my age, when he retired it and sold it to me, and that would have been in 1995.
Okay.
And so I ran it ever since then till now. And of course I'm closing because they're selling off all the property, and I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. So that's kind of the end of the era of the bike rental and the bike repair and the bait and tackle shop and ice, and even years ago we had gas pumps there, so there was a gas station there.
Okay, yeah. So talk. So what are your memories of obviously your dad ran the business, and I'm sure you were in and out of it, and helping out and stuff like that.
Yeah, as a kid, we all worked there. I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and we all worked there. And so it wasn't. And I grew up working. And so, like, I think I started there when I was 12, and I worked there pretty much all the way through until I was out of high school, and then I worked there part-time, off and on, and then I ended up taking over in '95. But you know, back then, like when I first started working there, I think I got paid $1 an hour, which was fair wage back then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
$1 an hour.
Yeah.
And now you can times that by 20, you know, and that's what people want, you know, minimum.
Yeah.
But and it was a good job. I mean, we kept busy. We were there 7 days a week from spring till fall, you know. The winters, we were always closed in the winter. Matter of fact, most of these businesses are closed in the winter because you're putting in, well, first of all, you're burned out because you're putting in 7 days a week, every day, all day, and then in the wintertime it just dropped. The cold temperature and everything, I mean, the park just slows down to the point where it's not worth, you know, keeping your doors open. But then springtime comes pretty early because it kicks in early March, and mainly because of the fishing, because trout season, that North Park Lake is stocked with trout. And I mean, there's other fish in there also, but trout's a big deal, and they get going early with that. So you have to be ready, you have to get the shop up and going, and you have to be ready for all that.
So what month would that be? When you
March, early March.
Okay.
And then it really kicks in April, and it's busy through April, May, June, July. And speaking of July, Pittsburgh didn't have fireworks back in the day. They and none of these townships had fireworks. Allegheny County had fireworks, and I'm not sure if they had fireworks in the South Park, but I know they had them in North Park.
Okay.
So North Park had the fireworks. Pittsburgh didn't have fireworks.
Okay.
And so people from all over Pittsburgh would
wow.
come out for 4th of July. Oh my gosh, talk about busy.
Yeah.
This park was jammed. I mean, it was really hopping. Lots of big parties, we were in the ice business and we would sell out all of our ice over the weekends for that reason. And ice was a big deal back then, especially block ice.
Yeah.
That was, and people don't even know what that is anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But North Park was crazy busy for 4th of July because all the fireworks were out here. And that was unusual because it's unheard of now, you know, because now everybody goes to the city or they have all these community days that have fireworks.
Right.
So McCandless, all the local, Hampton, Pine, they all have their community days. So they have fireworks. So you really don't have to go very far. You pretty much stay home.
So that really must have sounds like it was a really wild time and just
it was, and they were the full fireworks.
Yeah.
So you could go to any one of these hilltops and watch them.
Yeah.
You know, because they shot them off up near the swimming pool, the North Park swimming pool, where the pool's pretty high up on that hill.
Okay.
And it was wide open up there, so they didn't have to worry about the sparks burning things down or anything like that. So,
sure.
And you could see them from miles around.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So that's something. That's interesting. I don't think many people know that.
Yeah, they probably. I'm not sure the year they cut that out and they started them down in the city, but I'm gonna guess it was in the early '80s.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that far. Okay.
It might have been late '70s.
Okay. Yes.
But I know in the early '70s it was still out here. It might have been mid '70s.
Yes.